put as many like.
Starting to take your seat.
Edit that little part in there, sleep.
We need a motion to resume.
I move we resume regular session.
Second.
Motion Harrison, second shoot that we resume regular session. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are back in session. New business item number 4. Consider directing the city administrator to prepare a letter of notification to the Kansas Attorney General of the city's intent to exempt its buildings from HB 2052 under Section 2I for the 4-year exemption period as allowed under said statute. Chief Collenberg, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I just asked that we come before you again in regards to the status of whether or not we make a decision as a city to exempt out of 2052 under Section 2I, which allows for a further 4-year exemption, which prohibits the carrying concealed licensed weapons within the building. We have developed an adequate security plan to submit to the Attorney General, and therefore request that you look at this and make a consideration. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or field any comments.
Okay. Without any further presentation from you, we'll open the floor to public comments, but don't go far, Chief. At this time, we would open the floor to public comments regarding new business item number 4. If there's anyone in attendance that would like to speak to it, please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, and be heard.
Hello, Council. My name is Rich Melton. I live at 521 East Hawthorne. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. And last time we talked, a couple weeks ago, I sat out here after I spoke and I listened to everybody go back and forth about council's really looking at allowing concealed carry in every other building except City Hall. We went on to quite a lengthy discussion about insurance. Were we going to be able to get insurance with having concealed carry at City Hall? We heard a lot of speculation from the city attorney about things he had heard about different things that were going on with insurance with no concrete evidence. I'm sitting out there unable to speak, and my big thing is, if we are not going to be able to get insurance because we allow concealed carry at City Hall, how are we going to get it anywhere? There's all these other buildings that somehow we'd have to have insurance on, yet no one brought that up. So that was the first thing I'd like to cover. Secondly, I think everyone knows I'm a concealed carry person. This is a dummy gun. We use these for training. Law enforcement uses them specifically for training. There are 1,000 different uses for these. This is the gun, basically, that I carry every day in a concealed carry fashion. And I'd like to show council, because I think there's some folks who aren't familiar with what concealed carry is. I have one of these just like this on my person right now. Completely dummy. It's a non-functioning anything. It's just a chunk of plastic. I'd like to show you that you cannot tell that I'm actually carrying anything. This is what we're talking about with concealed carry. So if we had all these theories about what if somebody sees it and what everything else, no one knows. So we are looking at spending money on a non-issue and taking the rights away from your fellow citizens. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you, Rich. Lee Moore, I thought you said something about wearing out your welcome.
Lee Moore, 521 East Dogwood. Rich is my neighbor. He lives right behind me, basically. I'm in agreement 100% with what Rich just said. I would like to also point out part of the last presentation that we got from Chief Collenberg. I think he estimated somewhere in the neighborhood of like $100,000 a year. Does that sound?
I think you're in the ballpark.
Somewhere in the ballpark.
Yes, sir.
roughly about $100,000 a year that we're talking about spending 4 years from now. Because presumably, if we're going to go for this 4-year extension that we're tacking on to the 6-month extension that we already took, I really don't know how that works. I didn't know that extensions were meant to be concurrent. So I know there's also a 2-year extension that's also available. At the end of this 4-year, if we're still not ready to spend that $100,000 a year, are we going to then be right back here again talking about this for another 2-year extension, or is that off the table? I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about just the fact that we're talking about spending $100,000 a year, presumably out to infinity, to fortify this building. I've got kids in these schools here that won't be afforded that same level of safety that we're talking about applying to just this building in this city. And it really concerns me. The other thing that concerns me is having just gone through the CPA and working closely with the police officers there in Gardner Police Department. I got to see how they live, how they work day to day in their working environment. And I have to say I wasn't really impressed